Okay, so when we factored on top, okay, so did y'all factored like this, right? So then what happens? Okay, so that cancels, and this is my reduced function. So that means I get a -1 for point discontinuity. So then I'm going to take the -1 and plug it back in here. So I get -4 over 1. Is that right? Yes. Now I want the roots. The roots come from the top after you cancel. So my roots this time are 3. The vertical asymptote comes from the bottom. There's none. What do we get for a horizontal asymptote? Because it's tied, right? And so we have to have the numbers in front of the x's. So that's 1 over 1, which gives me 1. If I get y equals 1, then I get none for the slant asymptote. So what do we get for a y-intercept? -3 over 2 is correct. So on the number line, it's always our raws. The raws always go on the number line. The roots and the asymptote. So I'm going to have -2 and 3. So once I put those on the number line, since I have no tangency and togetherness, they're going to alternate, right? So I'm going to test the first one, and let's make sure we get it right so the rest of them are correct. So at -2, if I put in a -2, I get a negative over, like -3 actually. I get negative over negative, which gives me positive. Did anybody else get positive? Yes? Okay. So if this is positive, what's the next one? And then this one is positive because they alternate now. So now we're going to do the graph part. And so now we're going to talk through the graph. So what I'm going to do is, before I do anything, I'm just going to go through and put all this stuff on the graph. So the first thing, I have a hole at -1, -4. -1, -4. There's a hole. The next thing I have is a root at 3. So 1, 2, 3, I have a root. My y-intercept is 0, -3/2. So that's going to be -1.5. So that goes right there. And next I'm going to put in my asymptote. So I'm going to have x is -2, which is here. And y equals 1. Okay, so here's what everybody has. Can everybody get this far? We can all get this far. Okay, so let's think about it for just a minute. So from -2 on, it's going to be what? Positive. So starting here, where does the graph have to be? It has to be up here, right? And then from -2 to 3, which is here to here, what's this going to be? So in this section right here, this has to be negative. And I see I have points there, so I see that that's true. Okay? Then from 3 on, so from 3 on, I have to have positive. So what do you think probably will happen? You think it's going to cross? We're going to have to test to see, correct? So I'm going to take my reduced function, and what's the y value? 1. So I'm going to set them equal to each other. So I have x minus 3 over x plus 2, and it equals 1 over 1. So when I cross multiply, I get x minus 3 equals x plus 2. So what happens to my x's? They cancel. So is it going to cross? It's not going to cross. That tells me that it can't cross here, and it can't cross here. So I know what this one's going to look like now. This one's going to look like this. Okay? So I know that's what that one's going to look like. So do I have a number over here in this area? No, I don't have a number, so I have to pick a number. So if I plug in -4, what do I get for an answer? -4 and +7. If I put in -4, I get -4 minus 3 over -4 plus 2, which is going to give me -7 over -2. So +7 over 2. So -4 is going to be 3.5, right? So I'm going to get a number 3.5 right here. I know this is all positive. Can it cross this asymptote? Why? I canceled the x's. I can never cross it, no matter what. Not over here and not over here. I can't cross. So this is going to have to look like this. All right, number 2. So when I factor x minus 3 and x plus 2, over x plus 4 squared. Is that what y'all got? So the x plus 4 is squared. So what is that this time? Tangency is on top and togetherness is on bottom. So it's the togetherness, right? So we're going to have togetherness this time. At x equals -4. So nothing canceled. So do I have point continuity? So I get none here. My roots come from the top. So my roots are correct. My vertical asymptote comes from the denominator, -4. My end behavior, they're tied. So what does this one equal? So that means, do I have a slant asymptote? None. So my y-intercept, I get -6 over 16. Is that right? So it's -3 over 8. So the raws go on the number line. So I'm going to have -4, -2, and +3. So we're going to start and put all this stuff on the graph now. So my roots are 3 and -2. My y-intercept is 0, -3/8. I don't have a whole. So let's go ahead and put in our asymptotes. So x equals -4. And my horizontal asymptote is y equals 1. Okay, so let's test. And remember, the alternating doesn't work this time because of the togetherness. So because of the togetherness, whatever happens here, what has to happen here? It has to be the same, okay? So let's get the first one right so we can get the rest of them right. So if we test -5, what happens? If I test -5, I get negative times a negative. Negative squared is positive. So positive divided by positive is positive. So that tells me this is positive. So this one also has to be positive because of the togetherness, right? So this is going to be positive. Now once you're past the togetherness, they alternate again. So if this is positive, this one becomes, and this is positive. So here at the -4, I know it's positive. It's over here, correct? But I don't have any points. Then from -4 to -2. So in this little area right here, what is it? Positive, correct? So then what happens from -2 to 3? Negative, and then it goes back to positive. So first of all, it just looks weird, right? It doesn't look like our little thing, so it just looks weird. So first of all, we have to test and see if it's going to cross this asymptote, because I have to see if it goes up or if it goes up on the other side. You have to test. And so to do that, I'm going to use this one right here. It's already multiplied out for you. And what is the y value this time? 1. So this is going to work just like the other one. So go ahead. We're going to have x squared minus x minus 6. So it just looks scarier, but it works exactly the same way. We're going to still cross multiply, right? So who has an idea what's going to happen here? What happens to the x squareds? They cancel out, correct? So how about my x's? Did the x's cancel out? So put the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. Move the x's to one side and the numbers to the other. So I got -22/9. Did anybody else get that? Okay. So what this tells me is that it is going to cross. And it's going to cross at this point. So it's a fraction, and y'all hate fractions, right? So that's okay. Can we just figure out what it's between? So if it was 1, it would be 9/9. If it was 2, it would be 18/9. And if it was 3, it would be, so it's between what two numbers? 2 and 3, and it's negative, correct? So I'm going to cross between 2 and 3, which is right here. So right on that asymptote, that's where I'm going to go across it. So here's what I know. I know that from here to here is positive. Positive. I know that. I know that I have togetherness. And am I going to cross this asymptote over here? I can only cross it in one place, right here. I already crossed it. So this has to go like this. It has to. Why doesn't it cross the asymptote again? Because we tested. There's only one place it's going to go. It's going right here. So then what's going to happen? What happens here from -2 to 3? What is all of this? Negative. So if I connect the dots, it goes like this. And then what happens after 3? Am I going to cross? Why? I already crossed it, can't do it again, so this ends up looking like that. Come on, y'all, it's kind of fun. Yes, it is. It's like a game. You're putting together the puzzle. Oh, what else would you be doing? No. You can do that in your elective classes. No, we are not sleeping in here. No. Joseph, you're not sleeping in here. Come on, you're up on yours. We're on number 3. Yeah. All right, here's all the stuff for number 3. Bless you. Yes, we have to do number 4. Because I said it's fun. Okay, after you fill this in, put all the stuff on. We have the roots, which are 3 and 1. The y-intercept, which goes here. I don't have a hole. So my vertical asymptote is at x equals 2. How many of you are kind of caught up with me? Can I do the slant asymptote? Is that okay? We're good? Okay. So where do I start with the slant asymptote? -2. So I go down to -2, which is right under, so it's underneath your intercept, right? So here's where I'm going to start. So my slant asymptote then is up 1 and over 1. So it goes that way. So from 1 on is negative. So it's going to go like this. And then from 1 to 2 is positive. So that has to go this way. From 2 to 3 is negative. So that's this little part right here, right? From 2 to 3, and it's negative. So this has to go here. And then from 3 on is positive, so that's going to go like this. Way easier, way easier. One more. All right. Okay, so here's the stuff on the last one. Oh, wait. Okay, here's the stuff. You get none, none. Okay, so there's the factored form. So put this stuff on the graph. So we have no roots. I don't have a point discontinuity. So my vertical asymptote is at -2 and 3. My end behavior is here. The only point I have is 0, 1, which goes right here. So this is what I have. From -2 on, what does it have to be? So it has to be down here. Is it going to cross this asymptote? Why no? What happens if it crosses? It's positive, and it has to stay negative. So then we have the area here, and the area here is positive, and this area is negative. So can I cross this asymptote? No, because it goes positive. Noah, wake up, please. Thanks. So I know this has to be negative, this has to be negative, and this has to be positive. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to tell me what is the value at, is this -3, and what's the value here at 4? Just tell me what's your y. So take f of -3 and then f of 4. And just tell me what's your y value. Did you get it? You can't plug the number in there and get an answer. Has anybody done this? The first one's -1. You guys, you're taking your number and plugging it in the function. Oh, Lord. -1. I got -1. Somebody double check. You got -1 here too? Yeah, that's what I got too. You got it? Okay. So I got -1 for both. So what that tells me is I have a point here and I have a point here. It has to stay negative the whole time and it can't cross the asymptote, correct? So that means this has to look like this. So I only have one thing left. I only have one thing left. From -2 to 3, so all of this is positive. And I have this point here. So what do you think it's going to go in here? A what? Okay, a square root, that would cross this asymptote. No, that's all right. That's a good guess. What's the other one it might be? A parabola. So if we did a parabola, it would go like that.